Here's why I don't like the everyone's responsible for their own emotions bit. It's a get out of jail free card for the emotionally neglectful person. This saying, because of how much it's used, is an informal fallacy. Because of how often it's thrown around, it's a faulty generalization. I would categorize it as a thought terminating cliche. Oh, I've said this. Now everybody stop thinking and don't question anything. Because in every relationship, it's you regulating your emotions, me regulating mine, and then us co-regulating together. That's the whole relationship bit. But you need to have all three. For example, if I say I want to talk to my boyfriend and he goes, okay, sure, we'll talk about it after work, I've got to regulate my emotions until work is over. Like, that's on me. It might be hard, but I've got to do it. That's part of self-regulating. Now, say he contacts me after work. That is the co-regulation phase. Let's say after work, he decides to not call me, but text me, 9 p.m. I respond back. He replies, one word answer, okay. After firing off that text, he says, I'm gonna go on a walk, 9:20 p.m. Now, this is your first opportunity to co-regulate, right? He didn't show up. There's not a better way that I can put that. The co-regulation phase is when you're meant to be a unit. Me as the girlfriend has every right to feel frustrated during the phase because I self-regulated. But now during the co-regulatory phase, the boyfriend abandoned me. Because the co-regulatory phase is when your partner is supposed to show up for you, show that the relationship is a priority. And it's most hurtful to a partner to be dismissed at this stage. And if they avoid you at this stage, they're basically asking you to self-regulate and co-regulate on your own, which you cannot do. And people understand this. And the person that does and decides to avoid, neglect, abandon, stonewall, give the silent treatment, that is some of the nastiest and worst type of emotional abuse. They punish their partners as a way to dictate outcomes while maintaining control over the situation in a way that removes them from responsibility. Because usually at this point, their partners are messaging them, calling them, getting frantic. It's making them anxious. They've put their partner in a confusing situation with no end in sight. And then they'll blame their partner for anything done during that time period and conveniently be able to say, I've done nothing. You can't prove or point to anything that I've done because there's nothing there. And it's a really nasty type of abuse because it's hard to heal an absence of something. It's very hard to heal neglect because you don't have anything to work with. And then at this point, they'll use the opportunity to say, it's your responsibility to manage your own emotions. Now, at this point, I want to pause and say, this person is toxic. Only toxic people act like that. Only toxic people will trigger you and then act shocked and horrified when you act triggered. With that said, you cannot be doing anything out of control. You will go into the real world, find someone not toxic, and this will never be a problem again. Do not let this person catch you acting out of character. The most you should ever be doing is calling, texting, and picking up your shit. Now, this person isn't acting nicely. This isn't how you act when you're in a relationship. If you want to call it dismissive, avoidant, I don't care. This is not relationship behavior. People will say, okay, well, maybe I'm just anxiously attached. No. You're a good person with a bad person, and that's going to have you acting like this. If you're with an asshole, you're gonna start acting anxious. That's just how it goes. You are going to be fine. If you were secure before it, you will be secure after it. You are with a bad person. And listen, maybe this is harsh. Maybe they had a bad childhood and they had a parent that was an asshole, but now they're acting like an asshole and using you as retribution for a situation you had nothing to do with. This is how this stuff always goes. They aren't special. They're not original. They're not creative. This is a very well-known cycle. You'll want to do things more efficiently. You'll call them. They'll say, not with that tone. Click. And honestly, it doesn't even matter what you said. That is how they'll act. And the story goes round and round. I don't know what you do next. Maybe you call, maybe you don't. Maybe they pick up, maybe they don't. But you go round and round in circles and it's always your fault. And they'll text you, how dare you, speak to me when you can manage yourself. Like, nose up, like there's so much more above you. The pseudo-magnanimous, pseudo-intellectual, pseudo-diplomatic, they'll always have these taglines and maybe they convince you that they're right. But just know, when you're ready, you're allowed to want more for yourself. Not judging anything you do, but you're allowed to want to call your boyfriend or girlfriend. Expect them to be there for you. And to not hang up on you, that is so rude. If anyone ever hangs up on you, just dump them. Like, that is so trash. It's such a trash thing to do to somebody. If you feel a situation is unfair and you're being blamed for it and things don't make sense, you're probably being manipulated. You are responsible for your own emotions. But that doesn't make the situation make sense. Because that and other taglines like it, they're faulty generalizations. They're thought-terminating cliches. They're supposed to shut you up and shut you down. And it's a fallacy. And that's why there's a dissonance within you. Because what's happening isn't your fault. And that's why it feels wrong.